Welcome back to Great Day. Some of the biggest superheroes of the past year have been Batman, Thor, Black Panther, and George Huntoon. While that last name does not fight crime wearing a cape, he saved many lives during Hurricane Harvey's historic flooding. Now there's a movie that tells his story and many other people's stories, starring the real-life survivors as themselves. Here with more on the film, simply titled Harvey, is the director, Michael Sterling, and the producer, Nkem Dinchukwu. Good morning.
Thank you.
It's so hard to believe that that was over a year ago, because in some ways it seems like just yesterday, especially when people are still struggling to get back into their homes. Where were you during Harvey?
I was actually in Austin filming another movie during Harvey.
Yeah. I mean, you heard and you saw all the pictures coming out of what was happening during Harvey. Did anyone in your family or your home get touched?
Yeah, in the Houston area, yeah. Okay. A lot of people kind of got displaced a few days after, when we started getting deep into Harvey with the rain.
Yeah. All right. And for you?
Yes, I was home with my kids. The house didn't get flooded. We had, just a little bit of water came into the house, but our neighborhood was completely flooded. We were stuck in the house for like 5 days.
Yeah. And you have 4 kids, right?
4 kids, yes, ma'am.
That had to be scary, because it's one thing getting yourself out, but if you had to get out with your children.
Yes, we actually tried leaving the house one time, and I have an SUV, and we couldn't drive back to the house, just from the garage to the stop sign. It was very difficult.
Yeah.
That was how much water.
You were used to directing movies and films and videos and like music videos and things like that as well. What was the thing that made you decide to make a movie out of this? Because there's so much news footage out there. What made you decide to do a movie instead? And how is it different than doing some of the other things that you've done?
Well, this one, it touched a lot of people, and it kind of touched me too, because you're seeing different stuff on the news. So my friend called me from San Antonio, and she was checking on me, then she was like, you know what, you ought to do a movie on this. So I started writing during the storm, and I started reaching out to some of the cast members that I worked with.
Cast members,
that I worked with before, but they didn't know I was casting them. Yeah. And we was all checking on each other, and I was like, this person can play this role, this person can play that role. And
when you say play a role, they're like people who really went through the storm and things like they're really almost reenacting what happened to them during the storm.
Exactly.
And Kem, you are a producer. In fact, you're one of Africa's top women in film and TV. In 2014, you got that award. Rising Star Award in 2015. You're with the Canada International Film Festival. You're part of that, and you have features in Oprah Winfrey's magazine. So doing film is something that is like producing stories is something that you do. That's your job. How did Harvey touch you differently? First of all, you went through it, right?
Yes, ma'am. Well, actually, when I was watching the news and I was seeing everything it was very heartbreaking to see how so many people were stranded. Yeah. But when I saw the Saldivar's family, the family of 6 that died, I actually broke down. I started crying. I just imagined myself and my kids in the car. That happening to us, and
because it could have happened to you.
It was very scary. So I mean, 80-something people died.
Yeah.
So many people died, not just the properties, but people who lost their lives.
Yeah. You mentioned the Saldivar family, again, 6 members of their family.
Yes.
There was baby Harvey.
Yes. One of the characters, fictional characters in the story, her character, she's pregnant. So rather than using a doll to play the baby, I mean, I figured it's best that we get a real baby to make it more authentic. Yeah. So we put it on Facebook, and the mom sent me a message and said that she's still pregnant. That means she's going to miss it. I said, no, we still have time.
Yeah,
because you're doing 2 weeks.
Born.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I said, if you're going to let us use your baby, 2 weeks old, he'll be 2 weeks old when we start filming. So he was actually born the day we started filming. Yeah. So he's our baby Harvey.
Yeah, because there were babies that were born.
Yeah, his name is Aiden
Harvey.
Corner. Yes, ma'am.
And then there's George Huntoon.
Yes.
Who has such a great story. You still get emotional telling his story. He still gets emotional with the story. He's a real estate agent, but he rescued people in a fishing boat.
Yes.
And he was a former Marine, so he said he treated his whole thing like it was an operation.
We actually used his boat, the same boat he used during Hurricane Harvey, in the film. So that's our second boat that we used for rescue in the movie.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And George says he wasn't sure if he would survive Bray's Bayou, but he said he just did what needed to be done, and he still has a hard time processing being treated like a hero. And that's what the movie, the film is about, is people who are not feeling like they're heroes, who really were, but their story needs to be told, because I think it speaks to all of us that in a time of crisis, we all can step up and do something.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, like, during Harvey, you had so many people that were evacuated from their homes. So what we also did was to give them the opportunity to be a part of the film. So we had over 400 Hurricane Harvey evacuees that actually played themselves in the movie.
They were the extras in the movie.
Yes, they were. And, I mean, we had so many of them.
Yeah. What was that like for them? Because I would think that it could be kind of cathartic going through the experience again and everyone sharing their memories of what happened. It was emotional. Yeah.
It was emotional. There were a couple of people that actually came to me. This lady, she was just crying. It was like a deja vu for her.
Yeah.
You know, and there was this other woman, she was pregnant during Harvey. So when she came to set, she came with a baby. She was pregnant with during Harvey, so the baby actually is in the film.
Yeah.
So it was very emotional. We had a whole lot of people that were affected that were very happy to be a part of the movie.
Yeah, yeah, and I think one thing people are like, how do people get through this? I think part of it is that knowing that you weren't alone. There are other people who were getting through and dealing with the same thing. And then, so with you, are you back in your home? Is everything fine for you now?
Yes, I mean, we never left. We were there. I mean,
but you got water in the house.
And so many ants.
And ants. Well, welcome to Texas. Right? Well, welcome to Houston, because you're originally from
Nigeria.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
I've been here for a couple of
Okay, so things that you want to do is, one, honor memories. And I think this is such a great way to do that. Document stories.
Yes.
Right.
That's another one. Showcase, heartbreak, inspiration, and neighbors helping neighbors, strangers helping strangers. That's the thing I think that spoke to so many people across the country. I know people in our audience are like nodding their head. By chance, how many of you were actually displaced by Harvey? Right, several of you. Yeah, are you back in now? Yeah, just coming back in. And so the timing is perfect for this film because so many people are just now getting back in their homes, including family members of mine. You're going to have a premiere of this film, and
yes, ma'am.
You want everyone to come and celebrate what
ma'am.
Houston's heartbeat is made of.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I mean, it just basically shows how, in the midst of a storm, that racism, doesn't come into...
Racism didn't exist.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't come. I mean, your status, your class, whether you're an immigrant, illegal immigrant, whatever you are, it doesn't matter. I mean, even if you're a racist and you see someone drowning, there's no way. I don't think...
Suddenly those walls come down.
Yes, you will have to help the person because survival was the focus.
Yeah.
So how everybody came together, that's the main reason that we actually decided to be...
Well, Mother Nature is an equal opportunity employer.
Absolutely.
when stuff starts to happen.
Yes.
All right, so I know even from little things that we shoot here is that we shoot things in pieces and then it's edited and all put together and it's a whole different thing than when you're standing out there shooting a scene. So the whole movie put together, the first time you saw the entire thing run, how did that impact you?
It's still, like, because there's so many stories and there's a lot of stuff that's left out, and we tried to put much in there as possible, but I know when people see it, it's going to touch them and they're going to remember a lot of stuff, because every time I watch it, it keeps making me remember what was going on the news and stuff like that. So it's like every time I look at it, it's like the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. And
for you?
Well, I mean, it looks, considering that it was shot with low budget, ultra low budget.
Yeah. But something like this can almost be shot low budget because it's not about these big special effects and things. It really is about people's stories.
Yes.
Right.
That's the central part of it, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, considering that, but when you look at the movie as a whole, you can tell that it was shot with a low budget, so because a whole lot of things that we used to make it more authentic.
Yeah, and part of making it more authentic is that you shot on days when it was actually raining, for example, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
And of course, using FEMA, you were in the film, you played yourself.
Yeah.
Great Day Houston did a whole lot, covering what's happening, the news, we had...
I forgot that I was actually in this movie.
Right. Right.
Because I'm still looking at everybody else's stories, and they had such bigger stories.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, KHOU was displaced as well.
Exactly, exactly. And we had the Saldivar's brothers play themselves in the movie.
Right.
Samuel Saldivar was the one in the van with his parents and his grandnieces and nephews when they died. I mean, when the got flooded. Exactly. Yeah. So he played himself. So during the time that we shot the scenes, it was very emotional, not just for them, but for all of us. And we actually used the actual voice message that he left. So that was very emotional.
I want to say something about that scene. I think that's when it got real too. Because when we went to the actual grave site, and it had only been like 4 months since the burial, so it was still kind of fresh.
Yeah.
And it was hitting them.
Yes.
And that's when it kind of, you know, hit us like, okay, yeah, it's
It
real.
makes me want to cry.
And that was their
But
first
also
time.
the whole thing with this film, I think at the end of the day, it does a number of things. It shows how disaster at times can create community.
Yes.
But it also shows how precious life is and how it can just go away
Most
in
definitely.
a
In a minute,
second.
yeah.
So thank you all very much for producing this beautiful film
Thank you.
and having it serve as a reminder of what Houston is made of. And again,
Right.
how precious life is. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
The feature film Harvey screens this Saturday in Richmond at the Regal Cinemas 22 Theater at 5 p.m. For more information, log on to greatdayhouston.com.